So have you ever lost a gift card? Or maybe you've held one for years with a really small balance on it. Until recently, merchants and other gift card networks have had little guidance on how to account for those types of situations, which is commonly known as breakage. I'd like to welcome you to our update on ASU 2016-04, Recognition of Breakage for Certain Prepaid Stored Value Products. My name is Casey Miles. I'm a senior manager in KPMG's Department of Professional Practice, and I'm joined today by my colleague Jennifer Iruma, who's a director in KPMG's Department of Professional Practice. Jennifer, can you provide us with a background of this new standard?
Sure. Just to start off, there's three different types of transactions that we're talking about. First, we have closed loop, then semi-closed loop, and open loop. So closed loop, these are gift cards that are typically redeemable for goods and services only a specific provider. So for example, if I have a Macy's gift card, I can only take that into a Macy's store to redeem it for goods and purchases. I can't go somewhere else. Then semi-closed loop cards, those are only redeemable at a limited number of unaffiliated providers. So that would be if you gave me a gift card for a mall and I could use it at any merchant within that mall. Then we have open loop cards, and those are redeemable at any provider that operate in a specific network. So for example, if I have a prepaid Visa card, I could take that to any vendor that accepts Visa.
So that's a good breakdown of what a prepaid stored value product is. Now this accounting standard update deals with breakage on these types of products. Maybe you could give us a quick example of what breakage is.
Sure. Breakage is the amount that is expected to ultimately go unredeemed. So for example, you said in the beginning a lost card, or if there's something with a small balance on it, if I have a gift card for 25 cents, I'm not going to go in and purchase something for $100 to redeem that 25 cents.
Right. So I know prepaid stored value cards aren't necessarily a new thing. How are entities recognizing breakage on these types of products today? Are they not recognizing any breakage, or how does it work today without the guidance?
So there really is no guidance right now, but there is a 2005 SEC speech that said to apply the derecognition guidance in extinguishment of liabilities. Now the SEC staff acknowledged that derecognition may be acceptable in certain circumstances if the vendor can demonstrate that it's remote that the customer will actually exercise that. Now, some entities have been applying these views.
So I want to close the loop, no pun intended, on the products that you described before, the closed loop, the semi-closed loop, and the open loop products. Is this new standard on breakage applicable to all of those different types of products?
Well, the new revenue standard actually gives us guidance for the closed loop transactions because that's between a customer and a vendor in exchange for goods and services. This new standard is for your semi-closed loop and your open loop, and that's when you have a third party who isn't actually providing the goods and services, rather they're providing the instrument and receiving some cash.
Gotcha. So that's a good overview kind of some generalities here. Maybe we can get into the details a little bit more, and you can tell us about how this ASU's scope is defined.
Sure. So it's for prepaid stored value products in physical and digital forms. So that means it could be a physical card or it could be like an email gift card with stored monetary values. So in other words, it can't be a credit card because there's no stored value there, that are issued for the purpose of being commonly accepted as payment for goods and services. So that could be physical goods, or it could be a prepaid service like a prepaid phone card. And the holder may also be permitted to redeem the product for cash. So for example, traveler's checks or money orders.
So it seems that if the scope is including products that can be redeemable for cash, then that kind of opens it up to a lot of different products, doesn't it?
It does, but as with many things, certain exceptions may apply. So it does not apply to items that can only be redeemed by the holder for cash. So for example, bearer bonds. It does not apply to those that must be remitted in accordance with unclaimed property laws or escheat laws. Those that are attached to a segregated bank account, transactions that are within the scope of other ASC topics, so again, those closed loop transactions, and then customer loyalty programs.
Okay, so that definitely helps me understand about what's in and what's out of the scope here. Maybe you could talk to us a little bit about how breakage gets recognized on these types of products.
Sure. So if breakage is expected, then that's going to be similar to the new revenue standard. You're going to recognize that breakage as revenue in proportion to the pattern of the rights exercised by the customer, but only to the extent that it is probable that a significant reversal would not occur. Then, if breakage is not expected, then you're going to recognize revenue only when the likelihood of the customer exercising that becomes remote.
So would you say there's any big differences with how entities would recognize breakage under the new ASU versus how they're recognizing breakage today under that SEC guidance that you told us about?
Right. So all companies now are waiting until the exercise becomes remote. So under the new standard, companies that are expecting breakage are going to be able to recognize revenue much earlier.
Gotcha. So moving on to some other pieces of this standard, I'm pretty familiar with some of the required disclosure that entities have for breakage under the new revenue standard in Topic 606. Will entities applying this guidance have similar disclosures?
Yes, they will. So it's going to be very similar to the new revenue standard, where they're going to need to disclose their methodology for recognition and the significant judgments that go into that methodology. They will be exempt from disclosing the requirements of financial instruments, but they're going to have some specific transition disclosures depending on which transition they decide to apply.
So I'm guessing that because entities are using the breakage guidance in Topic 606, that the effective dates for this ASU would be aligned with the new revenue standard also?
It is. So it's the same as the new revenue standard. Public business entities are going to be able to adopt in years ending after 12/15/17, so that's 2018 for calendar year entities, with a 1-year deferral for private companies. However, all entities can early adopt this standard, so in theory they could be adopting it now versus in 2018 for the new revenue standard. Here they can apply a modified retrospective or a full retrospective transition approach.
Thanks, Jennifer. So that's all the time we have for this update. We hope the information we provided gives you some insight to Accounting Standards Update 2016-04 and how breakage is recognized on prepaid stored value cards. Thanks for joining us.